back at it again, and we have one here with Thomas Sowell. And the title of this first one, because I'm going to be combining two videos into one, but the title of the first one says, The Reason More Blacks Are Becoming Conservative. So yeah, I definitely got to check that out. So anyway, let's dive in.
All right, well, just give me a little bit tease. Do you go to the far right of the spectrum or the far left of the spectrum in politics? Are you conservative or liberal?
Now listen, when I was younger, I was all-out liberal, but as I get older and I look at my children and I see what's out in the world, I get a little conservative. You know,
it's funny he says that, because I've heard that be said by a lot of individuals. Like, the older you get, the more conservative you become. And it's almost like there's just like a natural progression in life. While you're young, you're a lot more liberal, and you know, you kind of wet behind the ears, so to speak, or whatever that little saying is. You know, you're young, breath still smell like Similac and all that kind of stuff, so you don't really know any better. But then as you get older, you know, things start to make more and more sense, and you become more and more conservative the older you get, which is interesting. I just wonder, how can we flip that and make sure that, you know, more of the younger generation is conservative from the start? I mean, that's where they're going to end up more than likely most of the time anyway. So why not start off that way? You know, I'm just trying to think of how that could be done. And, you know, I think one of the ways actually is conservatives have to become a part of the culture. You know what I mean? I feel like liberals have done a great job of that, as far as just becoming a part of the culture, so to speak. I don't know. I'm just talking out the side of my neck at this point. Y'all let me know how you think it could be done. But let's continue on.
Liberal, but as I get older and I look at my children and I see what's out in the world, I get a little conservative. You know, it's common sense.
How come more conservative? How more blacks aren't conservative?
More are becoming so. I think a good part of it goes back to the days of the civil rights movement. Mm-hmm. That many of the conservative Republicans came down on the wrong side for all sorts of political reasons, and I think they're getting the fallout from that for decades later. Yeah. At some point in time, however, you have to.
He said many of the Republicans came down on the wrong side of the civil rights movement. See, now I'm really interested to dive into that era and what was going on during that time period, what conservatives were saying, what liberals were saying, and who was saying it, because honestly I have no clue, you know, who any of those folks really were during that time period. Obviously, like, I just got into politics, you know what I mean? So and even today's people in the House and in the Senate, I couldn't tell you who they are. So yeah, if you guys know of any video that, you know, kind of touches on that, let me know in the comment section or DM it to me on Instagram or Twitter. Both of those links are down below in the description box. All right.
And I think they're getting the fallout from that for decades later. Yeah. At some point in time, however, you have to say, no, there's been a complete turnover in both parties. And now we have to talk about today's issues with today.
Complete turnover in both parties, and now we have to talk about today's issues. Makes sense. Makes sense. All right, let's jump into this second video here that I have with Thomas Sowell.
How do the anointed refer to people they don't agree with?
All sorts of ways, but I think the main thing is they believe that you're not merely in error, but in sin. In other words, they can't believe that you're just mistaken. You must have sold out. You must be something warped about you.
Do people think you sold out because you're conservative?
Oh, some do. Some do. I'm always fascinated with that phrase. First time I heard it was at Cornell University, and I attacked the president of Cornell University on the front page of the New York Times. I wondered, now, if I'm selling out, who am I selling out to if I'm attacking the president of Cornell University? What brownie points will I get for that as an assistant professor on a 3-year contract?
Yeah, that's not good. Yeah.
No. And the other thing that always gets me is that the people who are supposed to have sold out typically have less money than the ones who are making the accusation. Years
That's
ago,
always true.
I remember some student wrote to me and I said, what you need to do is make a list of all the blacks on your campus that you think have sold out. And then make a list of those you think you have stood up for the right thing, you see. And then alongside each name, put down the name and model of car that they drive. And then see if you want to reconsider what you've just said.
But, you know, when...
It's a good way to put it. It's a good way to put it. Never thought about it from that perspective. Interessante. I might perform that exercise myself.
You see. And then alongside each name, put down the name and model of car that they drive. And then see if you want to reconsider what you've just said.
But, you know, when the liberals don't agree with people, they classify them as mean-spirited.
Oh, yes.
For the rich. Let me give you some classic liberal comments about conservatives. You guys are for the rich. You guys only care about the rich guys. Answer that. How do you respond? Liberal says conservatives only care about rich people.
Well, one of the things I go into in the book is that the whole notion of rich is ridiculous. That most Americans don't stay in the same income bracket, even for 1 decade. So the same guy who is, quote, rich now was 20 years ago probably in the bottom 20%. I mean, I was on a cruise recently, luxury cruise, and the guy said, you know, if someone had told me when I was growing up that I would end up on a cruise like this, I would have said, get real, man. You know, that very few people are in that same income bracket the whole time.
Right.
The genuinely rich and the genuinely poor, I would estimate to be no more than 3% of the American people.
Really?
Put together.
Really?
Yes.
Genuinely poor. Now, I'm seeing numbers like when they were talking about health care, they said, 30 million people couldn't afford it or something? That's a big number.
Several million of those were making more than $50,000 a year. So it's not, see, this is one of the things the Anointed do. They never believe that people make choices. There are people who have the money, they prefer to put that money into a BMW rather than into
A lot of young people didn't want health care. They were betting on their health.
Absolutely. And
Yeah.
then this allows them to buy more stuff they want to buy. So it's not a question that they couldn't afford it. It's a question they don't choose to spend the money.
That's a great example of, and I told the story before, of the guy who I saw with a Maserati, which is a $100,000 plus vehicle, at the laundromat. It's just like, where are your priorities? You have enough money to purchase a Maserati, but not enough money to buy a washer or a dryer, whichever one is broken at your house. And yeah, the person didn't own the laundromat. They were carrying clothes in and out, you know, washing clothes. I'm like, what? How does that even make sense? But as Thomas Sowell just said, you know, some people just don't care to make the right financial decisions. And then they pointed everybody else, oh, you put us in it. No, you put yourself in that position. Look at your car. If you ain't buy this fancy car, you would have had enough money to purchase your washer or your dryer when it broke. But you didn't think about when things break, you know, you're going to need money to fix it. You just saw, hey, I got this paycheck here. I see this fancy car over here. I'm just going to spend this whole paycheck on the car. You didn't account for when things go wrong. It was crazy seeing that.
This is one of the things the Anointed do. They never believe that people make choices. There are people who have the money, they prefer to put that money into a BMW rather than into
A lot of young people didn't want health care. They were betting on their health.
Absolutely. And
Yeah.
then this allows them to buy more stuff they want to buy. So it's not a question that they couldn't afford it. It's a question they don't choose to spend the money.
What about mean-spirited? Conservatives are mean-spirited. They're bigots. They don't like people.
Well, you know, one of the things I tell people say, you know, you're a very tough person. I'm not tough. Life is tough. I'm merely trying to acquaint you with those facts.
What kind of a father were you? Tough?
That's well said.
Well, now, I've never done a poll among my children.
That is well said. I'm not tough. Life is tough. I'm just trying to acquaint you with that fact. Actually, I think that kind of transfers to just everything, you know, conservative. Like I feel like being conservative is being realistic, right? And being liberal is being, I guess, kind of delusional. Oh, we can just print money and raise the wages. We'll all be good. Well, the realistic side of that is that you raise their wages to $15, $20 an hour, those same people start getting charged $10 for a gallon of milk, $8 for a carton of eggs. Those same shops just raised their prices to cover the wages. So they're still in the same position as they were in before. And I think in order to, and this is just an idea, you guys can let me know how you feel in the comment section. I think in order to speak to younger generations, conservatives have to find a way to convey the realistic message about things. Like, hey, these liberals, yeah, they talk about raising wages and try to paint us as the bad people because we don't vote to raise your wages, yada, yada, yada. But here's the realistic part of the equation. You know, I think conservatives have to get better at conveying that message, as Thomas Sowell just talked about. And I think once that happens, then this whole liberal ideology that, oh, we'll just give everything for free, like, goes all the way down the drain. All the way down the drain. But what do you guys think? Let me know how you feel about that in the comment section. All right.
I'm merely trying to acquaint you with those facts.
What kind of a father were you? Tough?
Well, now, I've never done a poll among my children, fortunately, probably. But I have been called the last of the Victorian parents.
Oh, really?
Yes. I am not one who believes that the kids should be given unlimited indulgence, and I think I can safely say that mine were not.
Were you too tough? In other words, did they rebel? Don't kids go through a rebellious period? How did you deal with that?
Oh, I don't know. I'm not sure. I just
Said, here's what you should do, and
that's it. When the kid's away in college and he's not doing and he's messing up, I simply say there'll be no more money.
that's good.
Yes, it sort of
gets their attention.
Absolutely,
That's right. Absolutely.
That'll open your eyes real quick. Pops ain't sending you any more money. You out of college broke. Absolutely, that'll garner their attention. But yeah, I definitely agree. And I think I tweeted about that a while ago. You know, kids need guidance. Kids shouldn't have just unfeathered access to whatever and the ability to just do whatever, whenever. You know, there needs to be some type of structure there. Let kids be kids. You know, they need to have some type of freedom to just kind of explore, and I mean, because that's what kids do. I mean, they're discovering the world. They don't know anything. But at the same time, there needs to be, you know, some type of guidance because kids can easily be led astray. So definitely agree with that. Always a pleasure to check out the wonderful Thomas Sowell, an American treasure who should be talked about a lot more than what he is. I'm ashamed that I had no clue who this brother was until, 5 months ago or so. I'm ashamed. It's absolutely ridiculous that is the case, and shameful that is the case. Guys like Thomas Sowell should have statues put up everywhere. Guys like that should be, remembered until the end of time. Not some of these other people that have statues put up, for them. I ain't gonna say any names, but y'all probably know who I'm hinting at. But anyway, y'all let me know what you thought about this one in the comment section below. Like, share, comment, and of course, hit that subscribe button before you go. Peace and love. I'm out.